Hello everyone, Editor Nathan here. This is our first podcast, as we'll probably say a couple times during this. And it's also the first time we've ever recorded anything while we're in the same room, so some of the audio levels are not amazing, and I apologize for that in advance. But other than that, we will get better at it. Please enjoy.
Everyone quiet. Ready? Hello, and welcome to the Sunday Morning Donut Podcast. This is the first episode of our group of friends starting the podcast. And we're
It's 9/11 plus 60 seconds.
It is, in fact, 9/11 at our start time.
9/11 plus 60 seconds is technically.
So, to start off, I'm your host. I'm Cameron Petty. To my right, we have...
Nathan Balch.
And what's up, guys? It's Sam Cornelius.
It's your boy, Derek Amorum.
This is Ollie.
This is Hayden.
And welcome to the podcast. So, as per tradition from, we play a lot of games together, right? So, our tradition is that I will tell a random fact at the start of every single podcast. So, fun fact of the day is that the first oranges weren't actually orange. The original oranges from Southeast Asia were a tangerine pomelo hybrid, and they were actually green. Ollie, you said before we started recording you had a topic that you wanted to start us off with. Let's go.
I'd like to talk about the oranges.
Yes.
Let's talk about the oranges.
discuss the oranges.
Let's stick with the oranges.
You see, that makes sense.
I think that's a conspiracy theory from Area 51.
See,
We gotta
bananas.
storm it, man.
So,
They can't stop us all.
They're green
I've got
oranges.
another topic after.
Well, it's called an orange
Trying to
because it's
stretch
orange.
their orange juice dollar.
Bananas are
Sun
green.
kissed.
Let's be real. Okay.
It's true. Yeah.
Oranges are the testicles. Okay.
Of what?
Of nature.
Of nature? Okay.
And they're green. They're
Those are
green.
some big cojones.
They're green before they're ripe,
good
and the
sack.
banana is the penis of nature. And
I just want
also
to point out,
green
about 30
before
seconds
it's ripe.
before we started this podcast, I said, let's keep it clean. And we're already at the dick and balls of nature.
What better
I don't
way?
know what else to do.
What better way?
You know what though? We can talk about how emojis are ruining culture because the penis was like the banana was the penultimate penis of nature. Now it's the eggplant.
And eggplants are unnaturally big for penises.
So can I
By
start?
the way, I'd like
already
to start
sponsored
and
by
interrupt this
Cheetos.
moment to read our first sponsor. It is Pepsi, actually.
Pepsi.
We
You
all
can't lie about that because it's illegal.
We don't have a sponsor from Pepsi. My goal is for this
At
podcast
Pepsi,
is
if
that
you'd like to sponsor us, go for it.
I think our
I'd
goal
also
for
like
this
Cheetos
podcast
and Pop-Tarts.
is to be able one day to order everybody food who's sitting here. That's our goal, okay? We get enough money from a sponsorship that we
Give
order
us
every
money.
dinner.
And then we can do ASMR sex noises.
You actually might have to send us for.
Okay.
You might have to send us for 7 people because I'm a little heavy.
Yeah,
I eat
okay.
like 2 people, so we need 7 people worth of food. Thank you.
All right, Ollie. You said you had a topic that you wanted to start us off on. What's going on?
Okay, so this kind of goes back to, like a couple dozen thousand years ago when we had like no clothes.
Okay.
And do you think people would have like plaited their pubes into like loincloths? Or do you
Well,
think
first of all, can you define the word
No,
plaited?
we can't talk about that. That is not our first topic.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
All right, I got a good topic.
Hit us, Sam.
So there's a subreddit on Reddit
goddamn
that
right
I
there
followed about last year, and it's really gained in popularity. There are now T-shirts coming out about this topic. So I wanted to pose the question whether birds are real or not.
Oh, okay. So, listen. I had a speech class this year, okay, or like this past semester, and I had one of the girls give an entire speech on if birds were like video surveillance devices
No, it's
used
a
by the
real
government. Just crazy. Like she was like, when she presents it in her way, when she's trying to convince you of her argument, you kind of like, is this real? Like,
Well, judging by they had birds before there was technology to create artificial birds.
No, but that would be the ultimate ploy. Was that it was already a natural creature.
Right.
So-
then you have, when you kill a bird, and it has, I've killed a bird before. Have you killed a bird before?
All right,
Well, you
so
never killed a real
I have.
bird.
I have.
well, here's
shot-
the thing. I'm sending a video to the Meat Gang group chat right now, and I'll have Nathan edit this in later. So I was at Cars and Coffee with a good friend of mine this morning.
you back away from the mic when you're sneezing.
You got it down.
So we were at Cars and Coffee, and there was this big truck there. I mean, it was one of those like it looked like some half naked guy with an IED spear was gonna suicide on me from Mad Max. Like that's what this kind of truck looked like, right? Exactly.
Oh, you should be a writer.
And so, thank you. Thank you. And so, we were there, and this black soot just like shotgunned out of his exhaust when he revved it. And it's one of those semi-truck exhausts that are straight up.
Right.
No one thought anything of it, but we walked back because there was one of the new, like it was like a 2019 Aventador S's there. We were really excited to see it. And as we were walking, I looked down and I see the black head of a bird laying on the floor. There was a bird living in this man's exhaust. No. And it got blown into pieces when he revved.
Yikes.
And so if you go and watch this video in the group chat, which hopefully Nathan is playing now, you'll see bits of bird laying in the road.
How am I supposed to do that?
You edit it in post.
We'll edit it in post.
Oh,
Yeah. So if everyone will just watch that real quick and just you can see.
So you took this video?
Yeah. So I took this video of.
Alright, yeah.
Yes.
Let's all pop this open.
So if I'll describe it for people who are just listening to this.
Wow. Yeah, no, there's...
Yeah, so I'll describe this to people who can't see. It's basically like all the major sections of a bird, be that the head, torso, 2 wings, and ass. And they're about they're about paper thin laying there on the ground because these things have been run over by some really nice pieces of machinery. I'll tell you that much.
That's a valid question.
But what else would that be other than a government surveillance device? Like, why else would that be in the exhaust, right?
He's studying his carbon emission levels for a tax.
Oh,
Exactly.
what is the thickest bird that exists right now?
The one with the fattest ass cheeks?
Emo. It's gotta be an
No,
emo.
it's my grandmother had one. It's called an African gray parrot. I'll tell you what, if that thing...
I thought you were going in a very different direction. You
If that-
started bringing up your grandma.
I did too, man. I was like, where's this going?
Shit, I mean, my grandma did too, but like... but I'm telling you, I've never seen a bird with, like... And when I say bird, I mean it in the English bird referring to a woman and in the American bird referring to, like, cockatoos and shit. I've never seen something with fatter cheeks in my life. That thing did squats 24/7 in the cage, and it could talk.
Goes hard.
Squats 24.
I would just
I'm
like to
telling you
I
right now.
would like to make a
Yes,
note
absolutely.
to the editor that Cameron's mom cannot hear any of this.
The best part, yeah. Hi, Mom. So
if you're Cameron's mom,
So
tune in
she
now
looked,
at the
yo,
7:22
this
mark.
this parrot looked like a model from LA with gray sweatpants on.
I'm looking at this parrot now. I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna lie.
exactly.
It's got,
Well,
it's got
now that we're on the
Double
topic of
cheeked
birds,
See this
on a
one?
Thursday afternoon.
now that we're talking about birds,
I mean, I'm not into bestiality, but
why don't we talk about how
let's just say I learned a little bit of parrot that
how
summer.
birds of prey have excellent eyesight?
What?
Okay.
Why?
What did you say?
I said birds of prey have excellent eyesight
Yeah, you're right, but why are we bringing this up?
because we're talking about birds,
Can we talk about how sick the
government
golden
surveillance.
eagle is?
and you can
Dude, it's
launch.
pretty sick.
You can,
Let's be real here. The golden eagle is like the perfect bird.
I don't know, dude. The peregrine falcon is pretty sick.
no, that's just speed, bro.
Yeah, but birds are supposed to be fast.
Yeah,
Alright.
but these have mass.
the
Peregrine
peregrine
falcon
falcon-
is like
alright.
it's like
The
it's
peregrine
like 5
falcon-
pounds. It's like 10 pounds.
No, it's cool because
You can
people own them.
Dude's a freaking fighter jet.
Right.
Okay, when you think of like a sly, cool killer in the wild, you think like fox or wolf or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it, like when you think of some of the hardiest creatures, right? They come from the Arctic.
Hardiest? Is that what you just said?
The most hardy.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
The most hardy.
The eagle lives in the Arctic and is therefore already more badass than any of these other tropical bitch-ass parrots, right?
PG. By
And
the
guess
way.
what?
Take the
It
copy.
eats foxes and wolves. Boom, roasted.
That's actually pretty nice.
Yeah. A peregrine falcon, it would get its ass kicked by a golden eagle.
Now let's get this
Change my
reversed.
mind.
I agree
Well,
with that.
let's get this
I agree with
reversed.
that
What
sentiment.
is the most useless bird in the world?
Pigeon. No, they're actually
I think a kiwi.
for like what?
No,
The
Arctic
blue-footed boomer.
Maybe a dodo because
Art-
it went extinct.
Arctic puffins. Arctic
loser.
puffins.
Arctic puffins.
They only live in Iceland.
I was literally
Just
about to
don't
say
die, forehead.
But regardless, the cool thing about birds of prey like eagles and falcons is you can train them to go and kill things for you.
All right, let's branch
like,
off of this.
They're like, you know, falconry is an ancient practice. You get a little falconer and you just chuck it at a small running animal.
That's
and it'll
not
go,
how that works.
no. They seriously go, and they go, boom, and they pick them up and they.
So
Not
for
really thinking
for
great.
anyone
Yeah,
listening right now,
yeah.
Derek has a special trait of not using his words, which makes him a great addition to this podcast, where he just uses sound effects and motions. So everyone here knows what's going on, but to you it sounds like nobody knows what that means.
Bonus. He said Eagles can.
Hang on.
He said
Ollie.
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 No.
Hey, I'll take a Snapchat.
Yeah.
While I
Okay. Ollie said
Take a
eagle,
video so I can put it in
certain
the-
eagles can eat
Foxes and
and
wolves.
wolves. Well, in New Zealand, there used to be a species of eagle which is now extinct that would eat deer. It would eat the equivalent of a white-tailed deer in America. By the way, he's eating a banana out of the banana wrapping with a fork.
We just got a video. It should be on screen.
Like a
For those
psychopath.
just listening
Right.
to the audio of this, he's just
And this is his second banana.
They're
in like-
they're
in
fat
like
shaming
15
me. You would all be arrested in Canada right now.
Yeah. He
would be at our doorstep.
he's
The small
he eats a lot of
potato.
bananas.
I do.
All right, let's
Not all of them fruit.
All right, Balch, we gotta get on some real topics here. Balch, you said
Let's talk about
you have some topics. That
No, I have some
But-
news we can talk about, or I have some just weird topics.
Let's do a little bit of news. News? Is this
Y'all-
current news?
Y'all heard what
So-
happened in El Paso?
I did hear about that.
Yes.
What happened?
So have you guys?
It was in Paso, Texas, like 20 died.
the
5
best
away.
way to broach that subject.
Today.
5 away
today?
Someone in like their 20s like came
Shopping
out
center.
and
Just
shot
walk
up like
in.
a little shopping center at a
Yeah,
mall,
Here's
and at least 20 are dead.
yes,
Let's
but
just
here's
say it
the-
this
here's the
way.
issue with this is we don't really know much about it, like the motives or anything yet.
He's in custody right now, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
they'll figure that out.
He's
He's alive.
alive.
Could be a. There's reports of it might be a hate crime, because they said that he posted some manifesto online or something.
why don't we pull it up and read it?
Yo, hey, you want a banana, bro?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Balch's pulling it up right now.
Yeah.
Dude,
This one has a bruise.
I don't even know what to say about it. It just happens so often now. But
Yeah.
you know.
Big Pharma's
Hopefully the families are doing
prescribing us
okay.
Yeah.
medicines.
So
okay.
for those of you that are watching real quick, they're still eating a fork. No, they're
Yeah.
eating a banana with a fork out
Okay.
of the skin.
So the broad spectrum of it is 20 people are dead and more than 24 are injured following a shooting at a shopping complex in El Paso, Texas. The suspect is a 21-year-old. I don't
Actually
know if I
good.
should say his name.
No.
Don't say his name.
No, don't say his name. Don't show his face.
Yeah.
No.
The investigation, the FBI opened a domestic terror investigation into the shooting like 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago.
This looks like it happened today.
Trump's already commented on it, calling it a hateful act.
Yeah, he tweeted about it.
FBI is seeking videos and pictures and whatnot, so an investigation is opening.
So here's an interesting thing. They've done a lot of like either autopsies if the shooter was killed or blood tests if the shooter lived, and a lot of these shooters end up having some kind of antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication. So a lot of them end up having like benzodiazepam or something like that in their system. And so apparently one of the things is, you know how like you hear there's all these side effects of medication.
No.
So they're not really side effects because the companies know that those things happen, right?
Right.
A side effect would be like you took Advil and all of a sudden your foot fell off. Like, you know, that's a side effect because that's not supposed to happen. But with these, you know, with like a mood suppressant, because the benzodiazepam makes it hard for you to feel so that way you don't feel depressed. Basically, I mean, that's a really dumbed down version of it. But essentially it makes it easier for you to be happy but harder for you to feel emotion. Yeah, basically. So what you can do is you start
It's
feeling...
like a callus.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
You start... Oh, wow, that's pretty deep.
Well done, Sam.
But it can make you feel like...
Tasty metaphor right there.
It makes it hard for you to essentially put yourself in other people's shoes. Like, you become almost emotionless,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Gotcha,
So,
gotcha.
You lack empathy.
yeah, you
Like, you're
start lacking
desensitized.
empathy and, like... and you're desensitized.
I wonder if the mic's picking that up.
I bet it is.
Right now, Sam is peeing in the fridge.
So
Alright,
anyway,
yeah. What's up?
something also relevant to this.
It's
I didn't
okay. You
realize
don't have to
this.
worry about it because all the groceries are in the toilet.
I didn't realize this. This is actually the second shooting that happened at a Walmart this week. I didn't realize there was
This
one.
week? What,
Was it a
So
Walmart?
July 30th, there was a Walmart employee who killed 2 coworkers and wounded an officer in Mississippi.
Bro, Walmart out
Oh, yeah,
here.
I did
We
see that.
were literally just at Walmart.
Yeah, we just...
Wow. Risky.
Not
That's
30
where I
minutes.
know,
Guys,
like,
we just
when I
survived a
get
near-death experience.
We did. We bought a single microphone.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
get on to a different topic.
Alright, hit us.
Ollie and I talked about this today. Maybe Derek was there for it as well. I don't know if anyone's keeping up with the
Right.
Katy Perry lawsuit situation.
Yeah, what? I saw like some thumbnails of this.
I have
on
not
YouTube.
heard about
Okay.
it.
I haven't heard about this
Okay,
either.
explain
Yeah,
what's
let-
going
let
on.
So
Balch-
basically,
Wait, let's pull up a news article.
No, let Balch,
No, he's got it.
Balch go.
I mean, I know the gist of it. I watched the video
He's
on it
got
today.
it.
So basically, I forget the name of the Christian rapper who's suing Katy Perry for this, but
Toby Mac.
No.
That is not it.
Shout out.
He is basically suing Katy Perry for I don't even know what to call it. It's technically an ostinato, which is a rhythmic pattern used in her song Dark Horse.
That song
and
came out
the
6
jury.
years
That was so long ago.
Yeah, the jury recently ruled that Katy Perry was at fault for it and is getting filed for $2.78 million, or at least the record company is, but Katy's probably going to pay for all of that, which completely biased here is 100% bullshit, just because the musicology professor that they had to interview the jurors made a giant error, basically, in assuming what was supposed to be copyrighted versus what wasn't. And it generally boils down to how he interpreted the copyright versus how it should have probably actually been interpreted. And it doesn't help that the jurors chosen at the time did not know any of these musical concepts and probably weren't explained to them either. So basically what it boils down to is the opening beat that goes da 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 da. They were saying that was the copied part, when in all reality, I'll try to explain this as simple as I can here. They used a similar musical scale, maybe not the same key, but the scales in music will work the exact same. They used a minor scale that just descended 3 notes, which you can find in classical music, such as Beethoven did something very similar. Folk songs did something very similar as well. And for the second part of it, he quoted the timbre, which he was 100% wrong about. The sine wave used in Katy Perry's was literally the exact opposite from what was used in the song allegedly being suited.
So it was a cosine.
Profound.
It's the exact opposite.
So basically, in short, no matter what you think of Katy Perry, this is a really bad precedent set for music, because any music with similar rhythmic patterns or anything could fall under copyright at this point, which is very, like...
It's the Wild West out there.
Very bad.
Here, I'll give a controversial take to this one.
Oh boy.
It's not real.
Buckle in.
Can we listen
This
to
kind of
both
have aspects of like what some people would consider karma, but you make trash music and be a trash person, you get trash results. Katy Perry has
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Katy Perry, from all my understanding, not being close to her, thankfully, is not that great of a person. Not saying
Crazy.
that the suit outcome was justified under the law, but bad things happen to bad people sometimes.
So, given the circumstances here, it sounds like Katy Perry has a pretty good countersuit. Like, she could probably easily defeat, take this to an appellate court, defeat it, and then countersue him for defamation. Because if what Balder said was true, if it's a pretty common thing, but just in different keys, then there's no reason for him to be suing her, because
it's been in court for 6 years. Like it's been, I don't know how many levels they go to, but they've been going at it for a while.
This came up with Blurred Lines as well for an old
Marvin Gaye?
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye song.
Marvin Gaye recently, that suit was what opened up this suit, basically.
And wasn't there like this
and
fight
my-
on Twitter with the Jonas Brothers, like
Something
Portugal
like
Man
I mean,
too?
in theory, there's a finite amount of rhythms that we can produce, but there's an infinite amount of ways to combine them, right?
Right.
So,
that was
and
the
with
Vsauce video I saw was...
I saw that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The title was, will we ever run out of new music? And it was like a super cool concept, just because there's only a certain amount... A lot of us are musicians at this table. This is why we're going to this. But
Why
there's
we
only
just-
there's
we
only
enjoy
a
the
certain
topic.
amount of
I make
chords
dubstep.
that sound
Yeah, I
good
make
together,
dubstep
right?
when I take a dome.
Okay. So,
That might
for
have been the
example,
worst joke I've ever heard.
Last Dance with Mary Jane by Tom Petty is like the same chord progression as Danny California, but they're just in different parts of the deck. But you play them side by side, and it's got a completely different sound to it, right? Because everything else is interacting differently.
Now, my take on this is I've studied now 2 years of music theory, and I'm still in music school now. Music that sounds good to our ears is even more finite than music in general, because there's a lot of music out there that you can make that just sounds terrible. and it won't
MIDI
be copied
songs.
at all. Like the generic tones, you know, the 1-4-5-6 progression or the 1-4-5-1 progression, they're super common.
1654 or 45.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
If you
we're,
can
we're
he-
recording this at currently my house, and there's a little bit.
Which
of,
is the
a little
trap
bit of
house?
gaming going on upstairs. So I'm not a big fan of a lot of pop music nowadays, but pop music isn't. For me, it's not necessarily a genre. It's just like popular music, right? What's going on over here?
It was like engulfed the banana. It was like, oh.
Nothing's on video.
All
No
right.
one knows what's going
All right,
on already.
all right. I'll describe this for you.
Do it with your
So
mouth.
sometimes
God.
you run out of energy with your hand, and you don't want to quite bring it up to your face anymore. So you can lean your head down, which
Bring
takes
what
less
up to your
energy.
face?
Bananas, anything you might put on a fork or spoon, and you can inhale really sharply, and it'll suck the food up to you. Observe or listen.
And that was
Alright.
textbook.
And if
Textbook form. From
I don't think I could have sucked a banana any better than that.
Technique.
So let me.
Technique!
Is Katy Perry the one that's suing this guy, or
No,
is the guy
it's the other
suing?
way.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
no.
no. Can I
Go
speak
ahead,
out?
go ahead.
All right. So a lot of times, what happens here, and I know
that?
people in the country music business that this has happened to, is that a popular song is played everywhere. Some random person in like Kentucky or Oklahoma or what have you, like a school teacher that's made 3 songs in her life, hears this song and then is like, that sounds exactly like my obscure song on Spotify. And so they go, hang on a second, I have a lawsuit here and I stand to gain some money. And then the popular artist that's never once heard this person's song, that just happened to write the exact same song or a similar song, takes the fall for it.
yeah, that's pretty lame.
Yeah, for
that might be what
this
happened-
Christian
what's
rapper
happening
isn't
here.
exactly turning the other cheek.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
here's
he's
the
like
thing.
one.
Katy Perry was the son of or daughter of a preacher. Well, who knows? Maybe she is the son, but she's the daughter of a preacher.
What?
So she.
You know what happens when you mix Christianity and rap? You get crap.
At Toby.
No.
So here with this
Sponsor.
Katy Perry
I love your
song,
music.
it's Dark Horse, right?
Yeah.
So there's what is interesting to me. Yeah, that part that is also like a prominent part in another 21 Pilots song, and I can't remember which song it is. It's off the album Blurry Face, but it's literally same.
I
key,
think it is
same
Blurry
sound.
Face, isn't it?
Is it red?
No, it's not Ride, man. I can't remember which.
I'm trying
it's
to,
one,
like,
it's one of the
imagine
album
it.
or songs off of. Anyways, but like I don't know why anything hasn't been said about this. They must have had some kind of deal or something.
Well, I think it's because at some point
Heavy
it
Dirty
becomes.
It's
I
just a
think-
generic
Dirty
sound.
Well,
man.
I think between popular
She got
Heavy
hit
Dirty
with
Soul.
popular artists, they make their money from their respective songs, and they
Fairly
don't
local.
need to sue anyone.
I think polarized actually.
Right?
We're currently
I think polarized.
I think it might be polarized from.
Yeah.
either way.
Sounds
people can do their research.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
There's a video
essentially-
I'll put on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably just the title of it. It's a great video on this topic. You should go look it up.
I'm
Right,
sure
but-
you could analyze, like, write a program to basically skim through Spotify or SoundCloud or something like that, and look specifically for low view count songs, like Sam had mentioned earlier, and essentially get like record a date and then the popularity and then certain chords, and then take those certain chords and scan through like really popular songs and find really popular songs made after not so popular songs that sound very similar. But it probably happens all the time. But like we've pretty much all mentioned here, it sounds like this is just a money move, and I'm pretty sure that
Right.
Yeah,
You
that
know-
wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know,
honestly.
rarely ever do you have people that are actively making money in the music industry sue another person who's actively making money in the music industry over like song copyright infringements, because they're both making their money with their own respective songs. They don't have to.
And that's a fleeting thing in the music industry too. Like you're not gonna want to, you're not gonna stay on top forever,
Right.
unless you're the one band that does.
Right,
And even if you sue and you win, and and a lot of people think that you never really had a case, that could label you as that could
Well, yeah,
blacklist.
depending on how the
Yeah.
case goes, we could all just be like, oh, isn't that the guy who sued Katy Perry? You don't want to be known.
Yeah, you're not gonna talk about his
Exactly.
music or anything. You're gonna
No, just be like, oh, that's the guy from
That's
Blurry
not your
Face or something like that,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Like, you're not gonna be remembered for your accomplishments. You're just gonna be remembered for being a douchebag.
which is a
Yeah.
sad
Just label
reality.
now.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like, also don't see Get over it.
You're 100% right, because also in the lawsuit,
Unless you have a legitimate.
it doesn't.
Right.
Also in the lawsuit, it talks about Dark Horse in general and how it's like
Oh, is it one of those
anti-Christian or like
Yeah.
anti-whatever.
Satanist and all that.
Satanist, yeah. That's stuff that doesn't have to do with the music or
Because
anywhere remotely
I'm
near.
sure Katy Perry directly attacked this
And also-
Christian rapper just to,
Yeah.
And also, you have to think this could go the other way. And like most people remember, who is it? Ice Cube or no? Who's the guy who got sued and like was found guilty of basically exactly copying?
for the same baseline was it? It was.
It wasn't Ice Cube, right? It was like some like
You're talking about Queen
Yeah.
and
Vanilla Ice?
Vanilla Ice. That's who it was.
Vanilla
Yeah.
Ice.
So now,
Vanilla
anytime
Ice.
anyone brings up Vanilla Ice, the first thought in my head is, oh yeah, he copyrighted that dude's songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, like if you are on the wrong side of that
Yeah,
lawsuit,
Queen.
you're right,
dude
Queen.
is
the greatest
But-
rock band ever.
But if you remember,
That's a bold
or I mean,
statement.
if you are on the wrong side of the lawsuit, it works in your favor. But if you're also that small time scumbag who's just like, oh, I'm trying to make a quick buck off a rich person,
Right.
you will also be remembered as that guy who sued X
It's
famous
even
person, in this
heavier
case,
than
Katy
lead.
Perry.
Right.
So.
My favorite thing about that is like it's always on the radio whenever I'm listening. It's 100% under pressure. But I still get a little excited because I'm like, is it gonna be Vanilla Ice's song this time? And it never is.
Stop. Collaborate.
and listen.
Listen.
Box back with a brand new edition.
Something.
All right.
Okay,
so go ahead, Paul. You
Oh,
got
I was
it.
gonna go to the next topic.
Yes, next
Oh,
topic.
let's have a little break. I have a little idea. Okay. So we've had this conversation before, but never recorded. Okay. This is an age-old question. It's a classic question. It sparks a great argument. Okay. Everyone ready? Hot dog sandwich or no?
No.
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 Yes.
So here's the
No.
thing about hot dogs: the bread connects. If you tear that bun, that bitch
Hang
is
on,
a sandwich
hang on.
instantly.
I
Burger
literally had
Fi,
this- I literally
Burger
had
Fi
this-
makes a burger
Burger Fi?
that
Also-
also connects.
Subway. What would you call a Subway sandwich?
That's a sub.
It's called Subway sandwich.
Okay,
The bread's
you know what?
connected, dude.
You know what? In that case, I rescind my argument.
Yeah. I had this.
A hot
We got
dog.
conversions
A
going
hot
on
dog
here.
is
Hot
not
dog
is not
is-
necessarily a sandwich. It's a sub, which is a form of sandwich, but
All right.
Here's
A submarine
here's how we're gonna
sandwich.
decide.
it's a submarine
Let's get
sandwich.
a seventh
Yes.
person opinion on this. Hey Siri, is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
The robots are wrong. They're taking over. They're
I'm
incorrect.
pretty sure Siri's a bird.
Literally had this argument last night.
Siri is definitely a government.
No.
Here, let me
Wow.
let me play devil's advocate. Oh, well, your argument is very compelling.
For which
As-
side? My
yes.
side?
Yeah.
So you're voting no.
Well, I'm not giving. This is just me.
Hey Siri,
This
Playing
is me,
devil's advocate.
Yes, playing devil's advocate.
playing the devil
okay.
here.
So a hot dog could be considered a unique thing because of how it's dressed. Okay. You put relish on it.
Put a
You
tuxedo
can
on
put
it.
chili on it.
Not every time though.
Yeah.
You can. You can
Okay.
put.
Yeah.
You can put.
You can.
You know, relish, chili,
Mustard.
coleslaw,
This is in the hot dog Bible.
like coleslaw,
The highball.
and
The Bible.
and the thing about a sandwich is you can have a sandwich without roast beef or without ham or without turkey, but you can't have a hot dog without a sausage or a bratwurst or
Bra.
something.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like because if it's unique, that puts it away from other sandwiches. You could call it like a subset of sandwiches, maybe, like separate from a sub, separate from a lunch sandwich or something. But I think it's unique. I think it's at least in
It's
its
its own category?
Which is why it's called a hot dog.
See,
Right.
when I had this argument last night, someone brought that up. It's in their own category, kind of like.
You had this argument last night.
I actually did, yes.
With whom?
With your hot dog.
I'm not gonna name him.
It's his family.
No.
Dang it.
His
No.
girlfriend.
Can you get?
His dog. Moving past, he had a conversation about hot dogs.
I was gonna make a point here, guys, and now I'm getting interrogated, and I don't like it.
Sorry, change the lights for you real quick.
Probably your armrest.
So someone started out with that same thing, like, okay, it's one. The bun is just one, so it's not a sandwich. It has to be two buns. But then they go,
Yeah.
okay, but a burger, that'd be
It
two.
is-
But
it is,
do
yeah.
you consider a burger a sandwich?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I would consider a burger sandwich.
A burger is
Well, here-
100%
Yeah.
sandwich.
It's a
If
type
we're
of sandwich.
arguing that a hot dog is a sandwich,
Hot dog
a
bread.
burger must be a sandwich.
No, because here's the
I
thing.
feel like-
hot dog bread is softer. It wouldn't hold up with
Bread
anything
is
else.
bread.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about like a
There's
piece
the
of
title.
lettuce or
Bread is
something.
bread.
There's the title.
No, because a hot dog bread, you put something like on it and it falls apart. Burger buns need to hold the juices.
isn't that a hot dog bun do the same thing?
No.
What do you mean? What's you're just gonna grab the
It's
wiener
holding
and
all
put
the
ketchup on it?
condiments.
So does that mean that? Wait.
Some weird people have done that
But
though.
when you don't squeeze a hot dog, when you bite a burger, you have to squeeze it down, right?
No, your argument is completely.
For those of you,
I mean, if it's a
for
McDonald's
those of you
or-
not in this room, he just squished his hands and teeth onto an imaginary hamburger.
This is making me a little
Darren
hungry.
using his
Imaginative
various
ability here.
emotions.
Yes,
Like
Made up sign language.
he has all the angles.
hot dog bread is weaker than all other sandwich bread. This is a fact.
So does that mean that French
That's a
toast?
fact.
This is a fact.
Hold on.
Name one other sandwich bread that has a weaker
Dude,
constitution.
Wonder Bread Classic White is the softest bread
That
that
is-
just
That is so flimsy.
But how much
Hang
can
on.
it absorb?
Gluten-free bread falls apart
Dude,
100
I think
times
that's a
easier
bold
than a hot
statement.
dog.
Buns are
The
pretty
only
thick.
thing weaker than gluten-free bread is the people who eat it.
No, CJ, here we have Pablo in the background. He is gluten free.
Yeah, we I don't know who he is.
Pablo, do you have an opinion on this? Is it a sandwich?
We have Pablo here coming
Hot dog.
straight from Madrid, Spain, with his opinion on
dog?
Yeah,
Hot dog, isn't it?
like the meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sandwich or no? He's shaking his head no.
No sandwich.
No
It's okay,
sandwich.
The foreigners
He's
are all
a
wrong.
series.
So.
And for those of you who didn't know, he does not play for Barcelona. I double checked and he said no.
All right, let's move on.
Wait, real quick.
One more.
Real quick. So if a hot dog is a sandwich, then does that mean that French toast is an egg sandwich with bread in between?
That's tough. Now, what if you put like
French toast is
scrambled
just
eggs
bread.
in between two breads?
No, but there's egg on either side.
Like
No,
soaked,
that's a
soaked-
single
it's
piece
like
of bread.
it's like saying, do you have a butter sandwich if you put butter on your toast?
You'd have to put on both sides.
Oh, toast.
Get out of here. Get out of here with that.
No, but think
What
about
about a
it.
reverse
Okay,
sandwich?
whenever I make it, right?
Piece
It,
of one piece of thing surrounded by.
Well, then it'd be called
Yes.
a butter. Would it?
goddamn,
So,
I gotta say, a butter sounds good.
Listen to the podcast in the comment section.
I got a Paul Dean amount.
Answer this question: is a hot dog a sandwich? And explain why.
And who's the hottest co-guest?
Question of the day.
Also, is butter on two sides of a piece of toast a sandwich?
Hey, I like.
And which side does it land on? If butter's on both sides.
If a tree falls in the woods,
Here. Hey, by the way, I would like to point out the diversity in this diverse cast of characters. We have a ginger.
I'm gonna get the fluid.
We have a ginger. We have a blonde. We have a South African.
this is true. Ollie
Ollie
is
is from South
technically
Africa.
English. His parents are English and South African.
We have me with my South American fire in me.
This is true. A little Brazilian
And a European, straight
straight
from Spain.
Well, I'm technically your ordinary country
Get outta
redneck
here,
because my
Tommy.
family's from Dyersburg, Tennessee.
All right, so Bolts has got another list of topics here. Let's move on.
So this
here.
one might be a little more controversial.
Oh boy.
Cheese
whiz.
Do Europeans
so
eat cats?
There's a gaming site on like Twitch. That,
Our man just received his.
Oh, he got his stuff.
Our man just received his luggage.
Pablo just received his luggage from the airport.
Pablo, come here.
Can I have a shirt?
Hey, come here. Come tell everyone how excited you are.
Really excited.
See, ladies and gentlemen, Europeans are better than Americans. Let's be honest. And this is coming from an African American.
Except
South Africa. Yeah,
Not shooting.
South African.
Anyway, so on the gaming website Twitch recently, they've been in a lot of hot water for a lot of topics.
Like
Just-
cloying cats.
What is it? Tuesday? Or no, it was
It
Thursday.
was like Wednesday. Yeah, it was
so
2 days ago or something.
I
Maybe
think it
yesterday.
was Thursday.
It's
They announced there was a controversy on Twitch. There was a lady who had
probably
a
really
baby,
warm. That guy's gonna
and
be
she
really
was
awkward about
breastfeeding
that.
live on stream. On the gaming website,
Ooh.
obviously, nudity. I thought you were doing something else.
I got it.
Nudity is not allowed, obviously, so there had to be a ruling. And that ruling said yes, they are allowed to breastfeed on Twitch. And there's a lot of community uprising, a lot of people who agree and disagree. So I just thought I'd bring it up here.
All right, I vote that Cameron gives us his opinion first. 'Cause
So-
he's the host.
Here's the thing here.
Because
with
Cameron
this
is breastfeeding currently.
I am actually. I have a
He
baby
was through.
girl.
He's
That's-
going through his
I-
menopause
I'm not
phase
trying
right
to.
now.
I'm not trying to brag, but if anyone here was to breastfeed, it'll be this guy.
He's
So-
a,
Not gonna
he's
deny
a D
that.
cup.
Here's the thing,
I'm quite well endowed.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Twitch is a live streaming platform.
You've
where
been
most
living
people
under a
stream-
rock for
yeah,
the last
you've been
5 years.
Hi, Mom.
And yeah.
You've been living under a rock. So
A very nice.
Twitch is
comfy
a live streaming
Hello,
platform
Miss
where
Petty.
you can stream
On
games.
Fox News.
Where you can broadcast yourself live playing games. We as a group stream from time to time, mostly on Nathan's channel. We'll plug
It'll
ourselves.
be in the Discord, or not Discord. It'll be in the description.
Here's the thing. This girl is streaming, right? There
Yeah.
is a easy option to turn off her camera.
Or
Exactly.
go into
This
another
would save-
room.
Or go into another room. You can. There's plenty of things
Welcome
you
to
can
the
do
podcast.
on the Twitch.
What's up, homie?
Hey, on the Twitch platform, you can turn off your webcam.
You want a
easily,
banana?
Right?
Yeah.
This would solve that whole problem.
Okay, good,
But
because I'm out.
I feel like this is the first time I've heard the story.
Yeah.
I feel like from this perspective, she intentionally left her camera on to cause this
Well,
uprising.
okay, so
right?
my problem with it is, okay, there's a gray area, right, in a lot of issues, but she knows the Twitch rules. And she's not.
Right, you have to sign an agreement.
Right,
when
she's
you're
not a
a
new Twitch
partner.
streamer, right?
No.
She's been doing this for a long time, right?
I actually don't know that.
Okay, well, regardless of how long she does, she knows the rules, right?
Yeah.
And if you're ever going to, she knows that pulling out a tit on stream crosses the line, or at least
Right,
in the
and
gray
one of the rules
area.
in the site is
No
no
nudity,
nudity,
right?
right?
Or at least it's in the gray
Regardless
area,
of
right?
Now the rules.
exceptions.
I'm gonna flip the
Right,
hat.
right,
Give me
okay.
one sec. I'm
Alright.
waiting to say something.
Okay,
keep
so-
keep going.
So she knows what she's doing. She could have easily walked to a different room for like however long it takes to breastfeed. I don't know. Probably
Yeah, we're
not
not-
forever.
No.
None of us are.
That's
Or-
that's the
But like you don't have to do it there. Like a camera can only cover one room.
Push that button. So you click back.
A camera can only
Ah, exactly.
yeah,
That was
camera
just,
can only cover one room, right?
The mixing of
Her
two
house isn't
nationalities
one
right there.
room. She can go somewhere else.
African American and
So
European.
my problem isn't that she breastfeeds her kid, obviously, because you have to
Right.
be a good mother. My problem is that she
Intentionally sat in
Intentionally-
front of her computer stream while I
Yeah.
was live
See,
streaming.
that's what I was gonna say.
Now, for me,
Ollie-
Why the fuck you gotta breastfeed on stream? like do you know how much no one walks to the bathroom like while on stream, like brings the camera and is like,
Dick in the hand.
hey guys, how you doing? Alright, hey, I'm gonna stay on stream.
Gotta take a piss.
Right?
real quick,
yeah.
So I feel like, and I'm not saying that like breastfeeding is the equivalent to pissing, but it's a relatively intimate thing, right? Between you and your child.
The only.
And pissing is an intimate thing between you and your junk, right? So simultaneously,
Fair point.
I wouldn't take the microphone or the camera or anything like that into the bathroom and show my junk. And even though you could say that, you know, boobs aren't reproductive organs, or, you know, like Western culture has like sexualized boobs when it shouldn't, that's a whole different argument. The whole thing is Western culture does see it as sexual. And so if you're gonna breastfeed your child, just throw up a little 3-minute thing that says like, hey, be right back. Just like most streamers
I gotta
do.
feed my child.
So many streamers say that for going to the restroom, like restroom break or a 15-minute intermission or something like that,
And it's
right?
usually like the chat that they have, which is their viewers, is like makes a joke out of it. Like
Yeah, exactly.
We watch Brownman, Rainer Vegas
Yeah.
Jr. He has a time where he will say, "Hey, I'll
That's
be right
racist,
back," and
by the
I'll
way.
get up, and it's a chair cam. It's literally just a chair.
As an
and the
African
chat
American,
is,
I
like,
find
the
that
most
offensive.
active it ever is. That entire stream saying chair, chair, chair. I love the chair. Give me the chair. You know?
Yes. The only like plausible argument I could have for the breastfeeding, I'm playing devil's advocate here, if it's your full-time job and that's how you like pay the bills and everything, yeah, it's, you know, fine to breastfeed on stream, but definitely block your webcam to a degree where it's not there. Now,
All you have
can
to
go
do is
neck
put
up.
up a page.
Hot
that
take:
says,
women
No,
aren't
You don't
breadwinners.
even have to leave your chair.
Right. You
No.
don't have to stop talking. It's not hindering
on the
your speech.
inverse,
As far as I know.
what
No.
really just kind of grinds my gears about this issue is not the fact that they're breastfeeding live on stream. I don't care what you do on stream. You do what you want to do. Whatever. That's in the rules, at least, which I'll get to in a second. But willingly doing this is literally using your baby to get views. Like, think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, you can
Like, you
definitely
can wear
swear
a
that way.
low crop top shirt and get away with it, but you're choosing to pull your whole ass titty out and put a baby on it.
This is true.
What is the cause of this issue? Is it the streamer or the moderation?
Oh boy, this is.
Oh,
Ollie and I have a
man.
thing that would go way back on this. We've talked about this a lot.
So
Because to me, this is the moderation at fault.
yes,
For
okay.
not-
Moderation of Twitch.
Recently, there was a streamer called Alinity.
She hoyed her pussy off the couch.
So,
Well, explain that.
So wait, I'll
was her
explain.
cat.
So basically, on stream, she threw her cat over her chair, and like without any regard like for setting her down softly or anything, literally just yeeted.
Cats can.
And if you ask me, Alinity looks like a heifer chewing
Heavily
cud.
thrown that thing over. Now it's not the first time she's done something for her cat. The first time was when she was drinking vodka live on stream, which is in the rules. Put it in her mouth and then kissed her cat with the vodka, which is pretty bad for
Goddamn, I wish I was that cat.
Drink vodka essentially is what it was.
Yeah, she forced her cat to drink vodka.
Well, force is a harsh word.
And she's
Not
also
force,
kicked her
but
dog
tricks.
before live on stream.
All right. Let me. I'm not gonna condone the kicking the dog, but as somebody that has owned cats for 20 years, I can speak and say that cats like being tossed. Okay, they might not be like flipped over your head, but that would not hurt a cat at all. They like. Right. Okay. they like being
watching.
Ollie
They
just
just
put
put
in
in a
listening.
fake
Ollie
cat.
just
Right.
put a fake cat into the air.
Yeah, they kind of like that stuff. But probably not like
That was a
over
60-yard
the head.
field goal too. Okay,
But I would just like to say that is not like I think people make more of a big deal out of that. Now, kicking a dog, that's unless it was like a little like love tap, that's stupid. And the alcohol thing was stupid too. But
the issue is
it's
these
a cat.
large communist organizations that are. And I'm kind of saying that as a joke, kind of not. But if you look at like, Twitch isn't the only one doing this kind of stuff. There are certain people that they know that are making them money, and they're gonna make dang sure that those people stay on the platform, minus Ninja. But if we, if you look at Twitter, right? These people who are saying things that are the truth, or just saying jokes, or if you look at the different controversies that have happened across other platforms, be it Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Reddit, you can clearly see that there are people where, a small user with no karma, let's just say on Reddit, for example, will repost something and get banned from a sub by the moderators. But a large user, like everyone's favorite to hate on Gallowboob, reposts basically his entire thing is reposts, right? But he never gets banned. So, I mean, it just goes to show that...
Also mods on a lot of those subreddits.
Exactly. So, I mean, a lot of these things, like, Alinity, that girl who was boob streaming or whatever with the kid and the nipple sucking and all that, you can tell that...
Professional nipple sucker.
Exactly. These people, the corporations aren't stupid. They're there to make money. They know who's making that money, and they know that this controversy is going to bring a bunch of people who are like, boomers on CNN, right? They don't know what the heck a Twitch is, so they're going to go and find out the infamous hacker Twitch, and they're going to go... sign up and then donate to somebody, and Twitch is going to get more money.
Right. So going along with that, like obviously, the bans for streamers that have high amount of viewers are not going to be as harsh as low viewers because they make the platform money. It's the same thing. Recently, Lionel Messi was like just trashing the referees and how the Copa America this year was handled in that tournament in the summer. And he just received like a $50,000 fine, which is absolutely nothing for this guy who's like one of the highest paid soccer players in the world.
Less than he makes in a day.
Right.
Highest paid people in the world.
And he got a 3-month ban, but for national team play, which happens just to cover friendlies in that 3 months. Which he doesn't play in anyways.
Right.
So he got a ban, but like the dude's not really gonna miss anything.
Messi's making what? Like
It's the equivalent of getting suspended in the summer.
He's making like what 600,000, like just his salary, so minus advertisements. He's making at least €500,000 a week. So
without anything like
without any advertising deals. So
he's
that $50,000 fine was about what he makes in like 18 hours.
Yeah,
It's about what he makes in 18 hours. Because Sam wanted me to say it again.
No, just say it without your hands on your mouth.
I'm directing it towards the microphone.
No, that doesn't work.
No, you're
As
covering-
long as
you're
actually
covering your
on
mouth.
No, you're just covering your own mouth.
Anyway,
It's piss on dare day
If
today.
you wrap it around like this.
okay. Anyway, so it's and it's the same thing with all these professional athletes. Well, here's the thing: if you're gonna fine somebody for misbehavior, the fine should be proportionate to the money they make. So
and it should encourage them not to do it again.
Right. If a let's just use basketball. If an unknown bench player on basketball like does something, gets mad at the ref, gets ejected, and he gets like a $50,000 fine.
They deflate his balls.
It's not the same for him to be fined $50,000 as if Kevin Durant or LeBron James get fined $50,000, because $50,000 for that guy is like a decent chunk of his income, and that's gonna. He's
Right.
gonna have to
Most of those
change
small
how he
guys
lives.
are not even making $1 million a year, right?
Right.
Like
well,
the
I don't
small
know-
time guys.
I don't know
like
what basketball is. Like I know.
No, yeah,
hockey
basketball
has-
as well.
Hockey
they
has like
make
a
a good
minimum of like $750,000. I don't know what basketball's minimum is. I know
A lot of
there's-
NFL players making under $1 million too.
Right.
But there's
so,
a league minimum that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
have to make.
So there's, but then you shouldn't find the superstars and the bench players the same. It should be proportional. So LeBron James, his total wealth, he's probably gonna.
and also proportional to the offense.
Right.
Yeah.
But say it's the same offense.
Yeah.
LeBron James might end up a billionaire by the time he dies because of how big his.
He'll continue to get
empire.
sponsors when he retires.
Well, and he owns
Yeah.
company. He owns companies. Like he owns
That's how
part
Jordan
of. He owns
played it.
part of
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Like Shaq is getting richer than when he played right now.
And so he, to find him the same amount as a bench player is ridiculous. Like LeBron's just gonna be like, well, I guess I'll have to act exactly the same because I could literally find that every day of the season and not give a bother. So I think that's kind of bogus. Plus, especially because Messi is, he's kind of always been a little butthurt when he loses. Like when he lost the Copa America, he was like, "Oh, I'm retiring from international play because I missed a penalty." Oh,
I mean,
we lost because the refs. When the refs really weren't the reason.
To be
we lost.
fair, though, like in this last tournament, the refs were kind of dog shite.
Okay, but they are dog shit for everybody.
Right, exactly.
They're
But
not the reason
can't-
they lost.
Can't you file official things through FIFA or whichever
you can't,
whichever
but
league
it's
this is?
normally not going anywhere.
And
honestly.
you can never get the win back. That's one thing I hate about sports. There is the one example comes to mind was like a
NFL playoff games, are you gonna say?
well no there's this
Yeah.
Browns game a long time ago, but basically the refs did something they can't do. So in football, once you run a play and then you run another play, you can't challenge the previous play, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so teams will if it's like an iffy play, teams will rush to snap the ball so the refs can't review it.
Yeah.
Right.
So the booth can't call down.
Right.
Yeah.
So that happened, and the refs reviewed it anyway. Like they ran a whole nother play and got like a first down, and the refs reviewed it anyway, and then which basically ended the game. And that game was clearly lost by the refs.
Was that Bottlegate? Where
Yeah, it was
all the
Bottlegate.
fans threw the beer bottles onto the field.
Right.
And, like, there's a video of the refs like covering their heads as
Was
they
it-
run to the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah.
Glass beer bottles.
Yeah.
Dude, that
Yeah.
This was
sounds
a long
terrible.
time ago.
and
Right.
also like the most gnarly.
This was, like,
into
2000
a movie ever.
Dude, the
Yeah.
Browns are sick.
This was like 2004 or 2005. It was a while ago. But my point is, like, unfortunately in sports, even if it's like a clear thing, like the refs definitely lost us this game.
They won't be.
They
able to
will
turn after the game, right?
no league has ever or will ever go back
Yeah.
and fix anything.
It's the same reason why you shouldn't argue with the rest of the game. So
'Cause it's useless.
no matter what you say to that ref, the only thing that's gonna do is hurt you. Because if you talk back to the referee in
At
soccer,
Draymond Green,
They'll
you're
just
gonna
pick
get a
on
yellow
you.
card.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah.
Serena.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left in this hour, and I know Ollie said at the start he wanted to end us with a deep conversation.
Oh
So,
yes.
wait,
Okay,
I
now
got-
this is super serial.
I got some like small like questions if we want to like lighten the mood a little bit.
Let's lighten the mood a
All right,
little.
let's let-
Should we do that before or
We're
after?
gonna go around the room.
What do you? Hold on. What do you think, Ollie?
This is. I mean, we can do it before or after, but this will go into like it starts in like mid 1900s and then goes to now. So I mean, this is a relatively serial idea.
Let's do one of the questions and then we can do that. And then we'll
I think I
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
all right. Group poll. What is the worst American state?
Delaware.
Mississippi is
Now let's go in a
statistically.
circle, so it's more organized, starting with Cameron, and we'll go to Hayden and all the way around.
Delaware.
Why?
Because
That
obviously
one clip
of
in-
Wayne's World.
Yeah, Wayne's
There's
World.
one clip where they are filming a commercial and they're going through different states. They're like, "Oh wow, we're in Utah." And
We're
they
in
cut and he
Hawaii.
goes, "We're in Delaware." We're in Delaware. It's just the smallest like.
Or we could
punch
travel
to
to
the
the
state.
wonderful Isle of Delaware. Hey, I'm in Delaware.
That's about
I'm gonna
it.
go South Dakota.
South Dakota never comes up in anything.
South
I
Dakota.
mean,
South
does
Dakota's
anyone live
where
there?
Well, no, but who lives in North Dakota?
That's a viable question too. But I was gonna leave North
Because I
Dakota
was
for
in
someone else
South
to
Dakota.
take.
No, South Dakota is Mount Rushmore.
There goes mine.
Yeah, South Dakota.
Oh,
does
that's
have
oh shit.
Yeah.
That's about it though.
You know what though?
But
South Dakota
what else
State,
do they have?
South Dakota State. They win
They were
like D2
featured
every year in football.
You know
That's
what though?
Division
I
2,
really-
forehead.
That's North Dakota too. Never mind.
Okay, but here's the thing. I respect these net zero states, right? If you're not gonna do anything good, don't do fucking anything at all, right? Like at least you're not doing anything bad.
So
Yeah, like Montana is just your
So
low
no,
Montana?
my vote is not a net zero state. The worst state is California. Let's be honest.
I agree.
Let's be honest. All right, there's some leftist states out there like New York, and they've had some crazy stuff. Which one of their things we might get to in a little bit. But New York is at least a melting pot. There's at least some kind of semblance of like good going on there. There ain't no good in California. Let's be honest.
It's just a bunch of washed up
It's
celebrities.
sex, drugs, and
Rock and
an
roll,
addiction
baby.
to greed. It's. I've been to LA on a school
Earthquakes.
trip.
We've been to LA.
We
I
have
got
the
accosted
most
by a druggie on the street.
the
We
most
did. We
the
did.
most fun I had was accosting other people, and the only people that I truly enjoyed interacting with were other people on the trip, and they were all from Tennessee.
All right,
so.
now let me
Shout out to the group meeting that
I will
started
say
this
that
group.
California geographically is one of the best states.
Yes.
The best thing I
Yeah,
ever
it is,
saw was
but
when
the
I pretended to
people
be
just got
blind.
it.
In California, that was when I was.
The moon
In
set.
California, that was when I was less confident, and I bought about 2 mixtapes on that trip because guys just walked up to me and were like, "Hey man, buy my mixtape," and I'm just like, "I don't know what to do. Just take my money, please."
Someone did that to me, and I turned
Never
around.
listened to him.
Someone put their CD in my hand, and I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." I turned and said, "Hey, it's gonna be $5." I was like, "No, it's not." I handed it right back to him. I will not pay for a CD. Are you kidding? I have to go out and buy a DVR now. I don't have. Nobody in this century should have. If you have a CD player right now, you need to go to the store and sell it. 'Cause
Outside of your car,
let's be
outside of your
honest.
car.
Outside the car.
Outside
Yeah.
the car.
The car's okay.
Yes, okay, the car, sure, but like, imagine going home and putting in a CD. Okay, boomer, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do next? Buy a finely embossed white monster? Like, I don't understand.
Okay.
Derek,
So
worst
let,
state.
Alright,
let me elaborate with all. I also agree it's California / California. Here's the thing. I will.
Call me Florida.
No. I will say this about California. Geographically, it is one of the most beautiful places. You have national parks. left and right.
Yosemite.
Natural.
Joe's like.
You have
It's very diverse.
great coastline. You have great big forests
You have
and
good-
trees. They're worst in education in the country.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Oh yeah, they're like 48.
Everyone's got a
I'm
Mississippi.
being slightly hyperbolic, but all of these are in the 40s. Okay. Well, I know for a fact they're worse in homelessness. I know that for a fact.
This is true.
There's Skid Row in L.A. Just have thousands of homeless people camping out in the street, and
So lots of homeless people in San Diego.
they have a bunch of they have a super high state tax. They have crappy
Policy.
Yeah, just find
No.
the word, bro.
yeah.
I think
There's a lot of
All right,
material
no,
you can
no,
go
I
over.
think
Yeah,
a lot of what happened to California isn't a product of California.
Oh, it is.
It's a product of
Oh yeah,
overcrowding.
sorry, no. And they have the highest debt of any state to proportion of their GDP. Okay, you know what was cool about Tennessee? Our state has never had debt and will never have debt because we have it in our laws that we can't not pass a balanced budget. When the state legislature meets to pass a budget, it has to have the same.
Has to
amount
be
of-
balanced.
It has to be balanced, right? Well, California just runs rampant with their spending, so it's pretty bad.
Sam, worst state.
Mississippi.
Yep.
Mississippi has no redeeming qualities.
What about like Ole Miss and Mississippi State?
Yeah, no redeeming qualities.
Can anyone spell Mississippi?
MISSISSIPP guys.
Oh, you said IPP. Balls, worst state. Go.
Oh, that was tough. I was gonna say California, but we need to spice it up. Either it's between Ohio and Michigan for me.
Ohio's pretty bad.
Ohio is
Oh,
pretty
hang
bad.
on. Ohio is Cedar Point though, and Kings Island.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they
Okay, that's
also
fair.
the only like
And they have the
cities.
Buckeyes.
He goes to school
The
there.
only cities that really matter in Ohio are Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland.
serious.
Anywhere else?
Ask
you're
people
right.
at Miami, Ohio.
Oh shit! Yes, that is spot on.
Ohio's the worst state.
Ohio's terrible, dude.
That is
Is he
I've
from-
never heard
It's also
anything
a
good about
police
Cleveland.
state.
It's also a police state.
There's state troopers on like every other mile on the road that are gonna eat your booty hole as soon as they get the chance. When my open,
Alright, literally,
Yeah.
I go to school in Ohio. I had a friend.
I'm gonna need
like,
to start
driving
speeding
home,
more often.
And like his car got like shot at for like no reason. And he's just like, shit. So we had to like duck and like speed home. And I went to his car after. There was like 2 bullet holes
Yeah, you
near
get
the
shot
gas tank. This dude almost died.
They did test that on MythBusters though, and that doesn't work.
It's
They,
good
they,
that
they have to
can't
be
shoot
traced.
them.
Okay, shooting the gas.
Even with tracers, it goes through too
Incendiary.
fast.
Okay,
It goes
so
too
all right,
fast.
listen to it. We got about 2 minutes left. Okay, we can
doesn't
go
have to
over a
be
little
long.
bit of
We can
time.
go over
We
an
can
hour.
go a little bit of
We're
time.
gonna have to
I'm feeling
edit out
good.
some of this, so we should probably go 5 minutes over.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it doesn't. What, do we want to
definitely
do
can't leave it
exactly
out.
an
There could just
hour?
be a minute and a half long censor.
Anyway, do we?
If you're watching
I
the
mean, this could
podcast
be.
now, please tune in at 7:35 for the rest of the podcast.
Anyway,
Ollie,
we can make this go longer for an hour. It
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Ollie,
All right.
what is this topic that's so deep?
There's a lot of
deep emotionally or like?
Like,
it makes you think.
Deep in my butt.
It's
Culturally.
deep
Is water
culturally.
wet?
Yes, it's deep culturally, but it'll make you think. And
Next episode. Next episode.
Next episode is water wet.
let me just
Find
put
out.
this.
Find
Let me
out.
put
We
this
already
to
have our
you.
conclusions.
So, a lot of the things you see today, as I was saying earlier, something from New York's going to come up. We see the topic of abortion, which we can get more into the merits of that later, right? But they had postnatal abortions going on, right? So the baby would be born and then aborted, which is wrong in most people's views. Even most New Yorkers agree that that was wrong. But that issue is kind of like, people often talk about getting to like the root of the issue. So if you look at it as a plant, abortion and teen pregnancy and all these kinds of things are the leaves and the, trunk, if you will, of the issue. The real root cause of a lot of these kind of problems that are coming up today began in the sexual revolution. So the late 60s or early 70s, late 70s, kind of like that, when, people were it was okay to be super sexual. After that time, sex became, or before that time, sex was something that happened like between people indoors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how come it's come outside and made its way into children's TV shows?
Money.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's
viewers.
profiteering,
Well-
and people are playing right into the hand because now CNN has infinite amount of time to talk about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all these kinds of things. They can talk. Any number of transgressions can be falsified or blown out of proportion to make news time.
One of the leaves of the sexual revolution is like the Me Too thing. So people always say, "Oh, I wish I lived back in the 50s and whatever," and those people are whatever. Back then, sex outside of marriage was like highly frowned upon, right? It was because the country was way more Christian and conservative as a whole, like society as a whole, pretty much everywhere in the world, not just the United States. And so then and so that's how people acted for thousands of years, right? Like women weren't allowed. It was kind of unfair to women, but because with the women you can prove that they've had sex. So women especially were like told not to have sex before marriage, because then if they were if they weren't virgins, then the bride, the husband or groom would send her back, all that stuff. But then in the 60s, when the sexual revolution happened and people started having sex before marriage became normal, sex education was like a thing.
Extramarital sex in general just became more common and
Right.
accepted.
Well, that's only been a phenomenon for about 50 to 60 years, right? And now we're seeing the problems of it, like Me Too, right? Now that
population.
guys and girls who are put in sexual situations more often at young ages, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be a lot of mishaps, right? Because the rules aren't clearly defined. It takes thousands of years to define societal, maybe not thousands, hundreds of years to define societal rules, and now you have people having the ability to just do whatever they want all the time. There's going to be mishaps.
So essentially, the reason why I bring this up, because Derek and I have talked about this for a long time, and we generally agree, as you can
Obviously.
tell. But the question for you is, do you agree that a lot of these issues happening today, be it abortion, teen pregnancy, all that kind of stuff, stems from, are just symptoms of a previous issue, being the culture has become way too sexualized, right? Do you agree that we shouldn't need to talk about whether or not, gay people can buy a cake? Who cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
In the sense that
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
Buying cake.
Yeah, exactly. It's people
you don't
buying
need to have
cake.
to put the
That's what I'm saying.
beginning
American
part of,
constitutional
we've-
development.
yeah.
a gay couple just went in and bought a cake. No,
Exactly.
two people went
We've
in and
made
bought a
cake
I'm
sexual.
going to throw out a point, right? People always talk about society is over-sexualized and men are always sexualizing women, right? like men can't look at women unsexually, but meanwhile they turn around and they champion women like Cardi B, Jennifer Lopez, Nicki Minaj, who the only thing they're known for is having fake tits and twerking. Or Kim Kardashian, sex tape.
And you do the accent.
Right. Well, Kim Kardashian literally got famous because she had a sex tape, and girls look up to the Kardashians like, oh, I wanna look like her. I'm gonna buy their makeup.
Yeah. They
And
marketed
then-
themselves
right.
well afterwards.
And then they turn around and say, how dare you sexualize women? Are you kidding me?
Here's the other. Let's. So this is obviously this is a hot topic, and on this podcast we didn't want to shy away from any of this stuff
Hot
because
take.
it needs to be talked about.
These are our hot takes.
Obviously, all of us are men here. One of the things that I have talked about with my girlfriend a lot is that, and she agrees, it's a two-way street, right? So one of my favorite examples I've seen was on BuzzFeed, which was stop. There was a post from BuzzFeed that was like, stop sexualizing the female athletes, right? And then literally 2 posts down, it was 10 Olympic-sized bulges.
Yes,
I've seen that.
What's
I've
funny
seen that.
is
That'll
almost
make you
everyone
swoon.
watching this could
That'll
probably.
make you swoon, right?
Yeah,
and
I've
it's just
seen
like
that.
literally 2 tops above. It's like don't sexualize people,
Yeah.
and then it's like look at all these guys.
We're sexualizing
double
males.
standard.
right? It's a complete
absolutely.
double standard.
Yeah.
But like the thing is,
Here's the interesting thing about it.
I've seen that too. It's just funny.
So
right? Yeah,
there-
it's a real article. You can look it up.
we're all familiar with love languages, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
there's words of affection, kindness, or what is it?
Giving.
kind deeds, giving,
Yeah,
touch, all this kind of stuff.
Physical
Right?
touch.
Well, one of
Quality
them,
time, yes.
Physical touch.
one of them is sex, right? It's kind of like an extension of physical touch, but sex is a love language. It's one of the most intimate ways to tell somebody I love you, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be something that just occurs, in the back of a club while both of you are drunk. You know what I mean?
But it
So
does.
yeah, exactly. But it does, and I'm sure that it happened years ago, but Western society was kind of set up to be like the penultimate of humankind. You know what I mean? We were meant to be the apex, like the shining example of humanity. And when we take something that's meant to be really intimate and sweet and loving, and we turn it into something meaningless, we lose a bit of ourselves, right? Because then what happens when so let's say you and your wife have been together with several partners, like not
beforehand.
beforehand, right? And then you get married, and what used to be really special was like you would get married and then you would have sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like a way of saying like we're finally together, we can do this, and it's like a show of trust essentially, right? And love and all the different everyone knows what love should be when it's perfect, but essentially now you lose that, right? So some people are like, oh, I don't care, I wouldn't even ask. It's like, yeah, but some part of you is going to be thinking about that. Like, you're going to have that in the back of your psyche. Like, am I good enough? Am I as good as the last person? Is she really, like, doing this because she loves me? Or is it just because I'm better in bed? All these different... Even if you're not thinking about them positively, or even if you didn't care about them, even if you did think about them, there's something that's going to be there chipping away at the relationship.
No, I have a question I've been sitting on, and I just haven't
Yeah.
found the time.
Spray it.
Go for it.
We've been talking. We've been talking a lot about, and I'm just asking an honest question because, like, to me right now, I don't see a connect. We're talking a lot about sex and everything, but how does the LGBTQ community kind of factor into the whole sex argument? and
Okay,
everything?
so if anyone else wants to take a shot at this, feel free.
I think his point was that this factors in because of how sexualized things are. It's making kids that are like 5, 6, 7, or however old they're gonna be feel forced to say what they are, and maybe in a way to like feel like they belong, just to get that out there immediately.
I feel like that's more of a parent's fault than
No,
a
but
society fault.
I wouldn't say what Cam's. What I'm thinking is most kids decide on their sexuality or realize their sexuality, realize that they like girls, all these kinds of things around puberty, right?
Right.
So when you come of age,
Which is
that's when
around
girls
middle school in the U.S.
exactly.
Kids will do what they're taught, right? But
Well,
kids are being taught
the-
about gay stuff when they're really like. It's kind of hard for us.
We are all straight.
Right, but
Yeah.
there's definitely LGBT education that goes on in elementary and middle school now, right?
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly didn't know that.
Okay, there is. And so kids do what they're taught, right?
To an extent.
Right. And so a lot of kids are taught these things and like the fight for the LGBT rights and stuff, and without having fully developed sexualities, because one, they haven't hit puberty, and two, I wouldn't argue you're your own person until you're like 15, 16 when you because that's usually when kids.
Even when
Yeah.
16-year-old me is totally different than 19.
Well, right,
Yeah.
but at that point, I agree they're different.
Tattoos.
I mean, I was fat in high school.
but that usually that's when your parents.
Bulge, I did in a
parent.
pic of my stomach right now.
So
please.
like for example, my brother got in trouble, big trouble
Stomach.
when he was 16, right? And my parents disciplined him, but it didn't do anything because at that point he had already developed his own character, right? So somewhere around that time they do that. But there are a lot of kids like the drag kids on Snapchat. If you swipe right and maybe scroll down a couple times, you'll find this like. Drag
like it's like the trans of Snapchat or so
yeah,
drag
but,
of
like,
Snapchat.
it's kids drag. It's like drag school, and it's like elementary, middle schoolers that are in full drag. And I guarantee you, it's because probably somebody taught them that rather than that was their original.
I
thought.
think what Derek and I are like the baseline of what we're trying to get at is that kids are being forced to realize their sexuality too young. If they are gay and they feel like they've been born that way, or if that's just how they like, if you choose to be gay, however these kids are coming up with that, that's something that you should come to terms with on your own when you're like coming of age, right? Going into puberty, or maybe after puberty when you finally start getting more socialized and hanging out with people and realizing what sexual attraction is and all this kind of stuff. It shouldn't be such a movement, right? This shouldn't be some kind of movement. There shouldn't be an LGBT trans movement or anything like that, because what it does is it teaches kids way too young, which is basically what Derek and I have been saying, is that kids are learning about this stuff way too young. And so like Derek said, they do what they're taught, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're being exposed to this stuff. Like, if a kid was told to, like raised in like a communist setting, right? Or a fascist setting or whatever setting that you could choose. You could go on infinitely, right? To love Disney movies, all these kinds of things. All of this would be determined or be far more detrimental when they're younger, right? It would have a far greater effect when they're younger than when they're older, because they can't really make decisions for themselves when they're younger.
Okay, yeah.
Well, right. Well, and I have the right to say this because my dad is gay, right?
This is true. Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
There's later in life.
Later, like obviously, I mean, I'm here, so something had to happen. But and having gone to a gay pride festival, I can tell you that society is hypersexualized. Like hypersexualized.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
I agree with you there. I'm all for. I don't like. For me, it's here's the thing. You are into whatever you're into.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah,
But when
agree.
you're wearing a penis hat and like
a
a
five-year-old
vagina shirt, walking down the street, and there's 5-year-olds looking like,
So,
what is going on here?
There's a funny thing.
It's just
So
making
they
the
were selling
problem worse.
penis water guns with the nuts for the handle, and
And I interviewed a member of the Westboro Baptist Church against his will with a penis water gun. I held it in my face like a microphone, and I said, "Sir, why are you against gay marriage?" And held it up to him and said, "Get that out of my face!"
There was a dude walking around with football pads with dildos popped on
That's
them.
yeah,
People
too
take
much.
their kids to these things. Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
Because they want to expose it to
Right,
it, but
they right.
it's too far.
They think that's right,
But they
so they
think-
want their
yeah,
kids
exactly.
to kind
And
of like
so-
get brainwashed in that way.
And so, like, I'm okay. I'm would you call like a libertarian? So you do you,
I'm just more libertarian than
and
you.
it doesn't. Yeah. You do you, and it's great. You have a constitutional right to do whatever you want as long as
Not impeding on me.
Right, as long as
And
it's
when
not
you're wearing
impeding-
penises on your shirt, and if I have a future kid is walking down the road and he's seeing that, then you're kind of impeding
right.
on.
And so, like, I don't care if you're gay. Like,
Yeah,
I will
care
treat
at all.
you like a human being, no matter what you are.
Because you are a human being.
Right. But when
Big leap right
people and like your human beings are diverse, but people put like
Don't even worry about it.
Oh my god.
people are diverse human beings. Like every person has a lot of different things going on, but for some reason,
Ollie's having some kind of connection.
he's blowing up a condom is what he is doing. He's
Ollie.
inflating a condom. I would like
Now, if I put this in my kid's face, right, and I said, "Hey, when you have sex with a woman, you're gonna need one of these, right?" You guys, or most people would be like, "Hey, what are you doing?
Hey, do a
The
flip.
kid's 8 months old."
months old.
But if I did that and was like, hey, when you get with Johnny Sins over there, if you know who that is, you're a sinner. But when you get with a dude, you're gonna need a condom so you don't get AIDS, right? Then they're like, oh, that's very good parenting. I'm glad you did that. Your 8-month-old is gonna have a great time when he becomes a sexual age at 4. You know what I mean? It's like.
Question: why do you have a condom with
Hey, I got one.
You never know when the season.
I think this is about gonna wrap up.
This is about time to wrap up.
Right.
So,
Speaking of, wrap it before you tap it, regardless of the receiver of the tapping.
One more fun question, just on a
yeah, let's go a light note, and then
So
I'll do a little conclusion for
This
us.
time we'll go in reverse order, so I'll start it.
Okay.
Worst American fad to ever exist. Mine, clapping when the airplane lands.
Oh,
that's a
man,
good
that is
one.
a fantastic.
Or when the movie ends.
Or the movie ends is work. Okay, so here's the thing for the movies. I'm a big movie guy. I do like.
I'm just
I
a
did
big
motion
guy.
picture majors.
Still hasn't seen Lord of the
So,
Rings.
here's the
Still
thing.
hasn't seen Lord of the
Here's
Rings.
the thing. If you're going to a premiere where the actors and the directors, someone who worked on the movie is there,
Is in the audience.
clap
in
for the
person.
movie because you're clapping for them. Who the hell are you clapping for at the end of Avengers Endgame?
You're clapping to a wall.
In like
Nashville, Tennessee.
in Nashville, Tennessee. Who are you clapping to? No one's working on a film in the theater.
You're clapping
clapping
to the real guy in the back.
Yeah, you know what he does? He puts in a file and clicks play on the QuickTime player, and then turns the audio on. Cool, dude. Well done.
Alright,
Anyways.
so we have me and Sam's, Derek.
That's my affiliation.
Hang on, no, that's not
Oh,
mine.
that's not yours.
That was
Biggest,
Cameron's.
worst American fad. Wow. Probably taxes, I'd say.
All right, I'm gonna make a joke. And you might edit this out.
I'm gonna make a joke, and you might want to edit this one out. Do you know what that did to our economy?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're gonna actually definitely have to edit
no,
that out.
Dare, what's your least favorite American fad?
Great question, Cameron. I really hate.
You're something else, man.
Man, I hate a lot of things. I'm trying to think of like the absolute worst. Probably Walmart.
Walmart?
I hate Walmart.
What's wrong with
The
Walmart?
people in Walmart.
The
Well,
Waltons.
that's not Walmart's fault.
The Waltons are the scummiest people on the fucking
The
planet.
Waltons.
No, seriously, those are the people who start literally the Waltons is the family who started
not really?
Walmart.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
they paid some judge retired a month after. Actually, that may not be true, but he got a shitload of money, and then all of a sudden the rape case against one of the Waltons was dropped. So I mean, I don't know.
Ollie, what's your least favorite American fad?
Least favorite American fad is getting involved in shit we don't need to get involved in. Be that the war in Afghanistan, all that kind of. What are we doing over there?
What are the?
I
guess
guess
it's
Does that have to be a fad among the populace?
It might be
Hipsterism. How about that? I don't need your chai tea pistachio latte freaking ice cream. I don't need your freaking horse pubes gelato. Okay, I'm fine with some Bluebell.
Cameron's gonna pop this, isn't he? Is that what he's getting up for?
What? No.
Penny, it's a balloon.
Oh my god, he's gonna throw it. Are you gonna?
Hayden.
That's political. I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, I was thinking about two, but think the main one that really kind of butters my egg roll is probably the baby on board stickers on cars or the little family ones.
Dude, that's a great one. That's so good.
The family ones. I'm just I saw one with a dinosaur one time.
I'm going on the
keep
highway.
calm and blank shirts.
Dude, that's
Yes.
yeah.
That whole era was horrible.
There's too many, dude.
Yeah.
Keep calm.
And keep calm. And on that note,
I have so that concludes the first episode of the Sunday Morning Donut Podcast. Just as a recap, we mentioned this at the beginning, but we wanted to make this podcast so we could joke around with each other a little bit as being pretty much lifelong friends, but we also didn't want to shy away from any modern topics because I think we kind of came into this podcast with the idea that these topics are kind of shied away from public views, and we wanted to bring it in. So argue with us. Be great. We love to hear other people's opinions, right? So next episode will be airing next week, hopefully on Sunday morning, hence the name Sunday Morning Donut. This is Cameron signing off.
this is Nathan signing off.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna say that.
My name's Derek.
Just say goodbye.
This is Ollie.
I like turtles.
Pod Finesse. Signing off.